Hello, students. Thank you for joining us for this week's topic, which is learning through play. We're going to explore the importance of play in young children and the work that we do with young children. So let's get going. My name is Steve Kimmel, and I'm the instructor for the KEC Early Childhood Education course. We're going to start off today with some student sharing. So a question here is, what are some of your favorite memories of playing as a child? Since you're watching the recording, you can think about your favorite memories of playing as a child, but this will be a time in class when each student would be asked to share some of their favorite memories of playing as a child. I'm going to go ahead and share a little bit of mine. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I'm guessing it was around first or second grade. And whenever we would have a lot of rain, um, down at my friend Eric's house, they would have a creek that filled up with a lot of water. And we would go down and we would explore the creek and we would wade around in the creek and jump and have all kinds of physical kind of fun in the creek. But another thing that we really liked to do was to make little boats. So we would take scrap wood and hook the wood together in different ways and try to make it float. I remember putting railings on the boat where we would pound some nails in and tie some string between the nails. So it was just really free play. We were able to take the materials and create whatever we wanted to create. The reason I have such great memories of this is that I was with my friend Eric. We were bonding together, we were doing fun stuff together, we were just really enjoying. I also enjoyed the freeness of this activity. Nobody was telling us what to do, what not to do. We were just able to explore and play. Another thing that was really fun was that we were able to use our fine muscle skills, as I now know them to create these boats. We were able to pound nails in and hook things together. We were also able to be creative. We didn't have a drawing or a design or some adult telling us how to make our boats. We just made them as we wanted to. Another fun part of this was experimentation. We learned that some of our boats worked well, some of our boats did not float but sank. So experimentation was a good part of it. So as I reflect on this, I think we learned so much through experimentation and creativity, problem solving, and just had plain fun. As I grew up, a hobby of mine became woodworking, and I can't help but think that it was way back when I was a little kid playing in Eric's overflown creek that I developed this interest. So hopefully you have some fond memories of playing as a child, and now as you reflect on them, hopefully you can see why they're fond memories and how we want to help create these memories in the students that we care for and help to learn. I found a couple useful videos that talk about the importance of play for young children, and I would encourage you to watch both of them. I'm not able to show them in this recording that I'm making. However, if you go to the original Google Slides presentation and go to slide 3, you'll be able to click on each picture to watch those videos. After you've done that, you can resume watching this YouTube video, which is my lecture for the topic that we're on. Some years ago, I came across a book called The Creative Curriculum. It looked different at this time because it's been revised since then, but the Creative Curriculum really is a strong curriculum that really informs smart ways to work with young children. So I have a quote from the Creative Curriculum that I'm going to read aloud to all of you. It states, "Purposeful, engaging play is an important vehicle for children's learning. When they play in meaningful ways, children learn about themselves, other people, and the world around them. As they play, children acquire language, learn to solve problems, learn to control their behavior and feelings, and explore social roles. I wanted to share this quote because I think it's a good foundation for the importance of play and all the things it does for us. I like how it talks about it as a vehicle for children's learning. A vehicle is something that we hop in when we want to go someplace. So a vehicle for children's learning is a way to help children go someplace in their development while they play. I also like how it talks about play in meaningful ways. So as a teacher, we're going to provide children with those meaningful ways that they're going to play and they're going to learn from that. I like how this quote talks about what children learn about. They learn about themselves. When I was young playing in that creek, I learned that I like to build. That was something I learned about myself. I learned about other people. I learned about Eric and we just had fun together. And I learned about the world around me. I learned the physics of water. I learned how things float. I learned about construction. I learned some things about the world around me. And then I like how it says children acquire language. So when children play together, they're talking together and they're learning language through doing that. They learn to solve problems. When they encounter a problem in the block area, they learn how to solve it by working together and thinking through solutions to the problem. It also talks about learning to control your behavior and feelings. So impulse control is a very important thing for children. So as they play, they learn to control their behavior and control their feelings surrounding that behavior. And lastly, this talks about exploring social roles. We're going to learn about dramatic play, and during dramatic play, children experiment with different social roles. Next, we're going to look at some quotes I found from some influential people on the topic of play in childhood. And I thought this was a helpful part of the class because a lot of people, a lot of theorists have talked about play and its importance. The first quote is by Ralph Waldo Emerson, an author. It is a happy talent to know how to play. Maria Montessori, who is a foundational figure in early childhood education, said that play is the work of the child. And several other people have said similar things like this. Abraham Maslow, who was a psychologist, said almost all creativity involves purposeful play. So as we work on being creative on different things, we're playing with materials, we're playing with ideas, and we're putting them together in interesting and unique ways. Albert Einstein, I'm sure you've heard of him. He said that play is the highest form of research. So when you're trying to learn about something, you're going to play to do that research. James L. Hymes Jr., another theorist, said, play builds the kind of free and easy, try it out, do it yourself character that our future needs. K. Redfield Jamison, somebody I'm not familiar with, said children need the freedom and time to play. Play is not a luxury, play is a necessity. And I think this is a really important one for us to think about because sometimes in a classroom, play gets relegated to, well, if we have extra time, we'll play. But it shouldn't be like this. Play should be what we do. It is a necessity. And lastly, a couple of quotes from Fred Rogers. Fred said, play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning. But for children, play is serious learning. Play is really the work of childhood. And lastly, Mr. Rogers said, play gives children a chance to practice what they are learning. So we need to make sure that we give children time because they need time to practice and develop skills for learning. There are many, many, many theories about play by a lot of different theorists. In this class, I've chosen for us to really focus on just one theory of social play, and we're going to look at that now. It is called The Six Stages of Play by Mildred Parton, and she lived from 1938 to 2001. Again, I have a video for this one that I can't show as part of this YouTube video, so I encourage you to go to the slides presentation to slide 12, and then you'll click just below that video and you'll be able to watch the 1 minute and 1 second video. So pictured here are the 6 stages of play. We're going to sit on this slide for a little bit and talk about the 6 stages. When you do your homework later on, you're going to need to know these 6 stages, so you can always refer back to the Google Slides. The first one is called unoccupied play, and the theorist said that it happens between 0 and 3 months of age, and she described it when the baby is making movements with her arms, legs, hands, and feet, etc. They're learning about and discovering just how their body moves. Solitary play was really from 0 to 2 years of age. This is when a child plays alone and they're not interested in playing with others quite yet. This is a really important thing for us to know, because when children are playing alone, it doesn't mean anything is wrong with them. It just means that they are engaging in solitary play. The next type of play is spectator or onlooker behavior. This is about 2 years of age. And this is described as when a child watches and observes other children playing, but will not play with them. So they're just sitting back, just watching what other children are doing. And this is an important stage of play. Again, nothing wrong with this stage. This is just what the child is doing at that time. Next comes parallel play. This happens at about 2 years of age. And this is when a child plays alongside or near others, but does not play with them. In early childhood classrooms, you'll often see many sets of the same material, or many pieces, many blocks, many Duplos, whatever you have. And the purpose of this is so that each child can really have their own set. They can use those toys, use those materials to learn with, without taking from another child. The next one here is associate play, or sometimes called associative play, from 3 to 4 years of age, when a child starts to interact with others during play, but there is not much cooperation required. For example, kids playing on the playground together, but doing different things. And then the last stage of play that she spoke of was called cooperative play, which is for 4 and older. When a child plays with others and has interest in both the activity and the other children they are involved with playing with. So cooperative play is really the most sophisticated kind of play. It happens at the latest stage, and this is really where children interact with each other while they're playing with the materials. I thought this was another useful chart. It shows when the different kinds of play happen: unoccupied, solo, onlooker, parallel, associative, and cooperative. And it shows the ages along the left vertical axis, but it also says it can occur at any age. So this is a really, really important one, because sometimes a child will engage in onlooker play when they're 4 years old. It may start happening when they're around 2, 2.5, but they may do it at any time. They may do solo play as well when they're 5 years old. They may just be interested in building something by themselves. This doesn't mean anything is wrong. They have just chosen solo play at that time. So this is a very useful theory for us to have as early childhood teachers. I'm going to go through a few slides here that really focus on each type of play. So again, on unoccupied play, child is not playing or watching anyone or anything particular. They might stand or sit or just do nothing. I would say it's not really just doing anything. They're really learning about the world and about themselves. Solitary, solitary play was next, where children play with toys by themselves. They're not influenced by others, and they do not tend to approach others. Solitary play helps a child to be a thinker. We all need to be thinkers so that we can problem solve and think creatively of how to use materials, and this is hopefully developed during solitary play. Onlooker play was that next phase, where the child spends most of their time watching others play. They might look or talk to the players, but will not engage in the actual play activity. So they're just watching and seeing what others do and how others are using the materials and engaging with each other. Next comes parallel play. The child plays alone, but with toys that are shared with others. The child plays beside other children, but communication might be limited or none at all. And I can picture this when we have Play-Doh out at a table. Each child has their own Play-Doh, their own set of tools, and they really are working with the Play-Doh themselves, and another child next to them and another child across the table from them is also playing with Play-Doh. So they're playing independently. There may be a little cooperation when somebody might say, "Can you pass me that rolling pin, please?" or something like that. But really it's parallel play where they're using materials independently. Associative play is where children interact and share toys. They do not necessarily have the same group goals for how to use those toys, but they're sharing things. Sometimes toy selection is independent. Associative play enhances communication skills. So when children start to share with each other, that becomes a real learning goal for them, a real learning task for them. Children need to learn how to communicate and say, "Can I use that when you're finished with it?" So that they can develop those skills for sharing. And we as teachers are going to help children develop those skills really by modeling those skills for children so they can hear and see how the skills work. And then lastly, you may recall was cooperative play. Children come together and play. A group of children with a common goal or similar interest, acting out adult situations or playing formal games. So this is one example of cooperative play where they're playing a group game together, looks like a large motor play. Cooperative play may also take place in the housekeeping area where children are taking on different roles when running a grocery store or running a pizza parlor. So this is cooperative play. And this is just one more illustration I found kind of depicting the 6 different types of play in Parton's play theory, showing what they may look like. So we've just explored this theory about play and the social nature of play. So why is this important to us as teachers? First of all, it's going to help us in our work with children. Just as we need to learn about different stages of child development, knowing how kids play and how they develop in their play skills is going to help the work we do with the children that we work with. It's going to help us learn about the typical development of children. One thing that we will say over and over again is that we need to have age-appropriate expectations for children. I need to know that a 2-year-old is not going to be about tying their shoes because that involves a lot of fine motor skills, and that's going to happen when the child is much older. I need to learn that a 5-year-old is going to be able to do a lot more things independently and be more responsible than a toddler would be. So this is just another stage of development, another type of development for us to learn about. Similarly, it's to help us have age-appropriate expectations for the children that we work with. I often observed in classrooms where a teacher thought it was inappropriate for a child to be watching others play. They were wanting to encourage them and say, get playing, get playing, get playing. But this child was probably engaged in some onlooker play at that time. They may have just wanted to see what the other kids were doing. They may have been getting ideas. They may have been thinking about how they would like to use the materials. So we can have age-appropriate expectations for the children we work with when we understand the 6 different types of play. Another thing is to understand that there is science behind what we do. So developmentally appropriate practice that we want to engage in is based upon science. It's based upon research. It's based upon observing children, who they are, how they act, what they do. So there is science behind what we do in early childhood education. It will also help us to create classrooms that work for our children. I referred earlier to needing to have multiple copies of the same thing available for children. For example, puzzles. I don't want to have one puzzle in the classroom. I want to have a stack of 10 puzzles because children might engage in parallel play with the puzzles where each of them has their own puzzle and is doing it that way. If I have only one puzzle, I'm really requiring children to engage in cooperative play with that puzzle and do it together. But that's not realistic because children might be doing parallel play for that. I also want to think when setting my classroom up that I have spaces for one child to be alone doing something, for a couple kids to be together, and for small groups to be together. We will have a unit on classroom design, and we'll talk about this when we get to that unit as well. Next is to help parents understand their child's development. So one thing that early childhood teachers do a lot is to partner with parents. We talk with parents when they drop their children off in the morning. We talk with parents when they pick their children up in the afternoon. We talk with parents at special events that we have at our schools. We talk to parents doing parent-teacher conferences. We may talk on the phone as well. So we have a lot of communication with parents, and one of our jobs is to help parents to understand just how children develop. So when we understand these theories about child development and we understand how they apply to each child, we're better able to share those things with parents. So this kind of transitions us to the next thing that we want to talk about is 10 things that every parent should know about play. So I adapted this part of our training today from an author named Laurel Bongiorno, perhaps, and it was written for the National Association for the Education of Young Children. So you may hear about an organization often referred to as NAEYC. NAEYC is the most influential organization on working with young children, and they provide a lot of guidance for teachers who work with young children. So I encourage you to check out NAEYC, and I believe on the slides presentation that this is a clickable thing down here, so you can click on that and go to the NAEYC website. But now we're going to explore those 10 things that every parent should know about play. Number 1, children learn through their play. This is the most basic and foundational statement, but we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Don't underestimate the value of play. Children learn and develop in many ways. First here is cognitive skills, like math and problem solving in a pretend grocery store. So every parent out there wants their child to develop cognitive skills. They want them to be math literate. They want them to be a good problem solver. And it's important for parents to understand that when a child is pretending in a grocery store, they're developing those skills. They may be doing the cash register. They may be taking $2 when somebody buys something. So math skills are being developed. Next type of skills that children learn through play are physical abilities, like balancing blocks or running on the playground. Balancing blocks involves both large motor for picking up large hollow blocks, as well as fine motor skills as we're working with smaller unit blocks or different kinds of small blocks. So balancing them really requires us to use our fingers, our hands, coordination of our eye-hand movement so that we can balance blocks. Running on the playground involves a lot of different skills, a lot of large motor skills, a lot of coordination, a lot of planning, a lot of decision making in which way I'm going to go and how I'm going to be safe in doing so. So play helps children to develop their physical abilities. Play helps children develop new vocabulary, like the words they need to play with toy dinosaurs. I have worked with many children who amaze me at just knowing dinosaur names, but the way they learn those may have been by reading a book, may have been by playing with toy dinosaurs, so children develop new vocabulary. As a teacher, I always like to use what I call $20 words. $20 words are words that you might think are a little bit too big for young children to use, but when they hear those words and they understand their meaning, then they're going to be able to use words like that and be able to speak and communicate using a rich vocabulary. Social skills, that's another thing that children develop together. If you have a pretend car wash, they're playing together. They're taking on different roles. Somebody is the driver of the car. Somebody maybe they're taking money. Somebody there may be washing the car. Another person may be drying the car. So the children are communicating with each other the entire time they're playing in this interest center and developing those social skills. They're also learning how to share, how to speak kindly and respectfully to others, how to use manners, etc. Literacy skills is another thing that children learn through play. If they're having a pretend restaurant, they would create a menu for that restaurant, showing the different foods that are available, how much those foods are going to cost. When children create that menu or work with you to create that menu, they're developing those important literacy skills. The second thing that we want parents to know about play is that play is healthy. Play helps children grow strong and healthy. It also counteracts obesity issues facing many children today. I don't have statistics right now, but I know that obesity is something that is a real challenge for today's children. A lot of people link it to spending more time on handheld devices rather than being out and playing. So play helps children to grow strong and healthy. And when you're working with young children in a classroom, you want to make sure that physical play is a big part of what they do. Good early childhood classrooms go outside every single day that play outside is possible. You can't go out if it is too terribly hot or too terribly cold, but every day in between you want to go outside so children can move and exercise their bodies and develop strong bodies. When you're forced to stay inside, you want to find things for kids to do as well. Some childcare centers have large motor rooms, and large motor rooms are set up where kids can play on a teeter-totter, they can balance on a balance beam, they can throw balls, they can ride bikes, they can do a lot of the things that they would do outside, but they have this set up as an option for when the weather doesn't allow playing outside. The third thing for parents to know is that play reduces stress. I think this is true for us as well. When I've had a stressful day, I might want to go home and play a video game or something like that to help reduce that stress. But play helps your children grow emotionally. It is joyful and provides an outlet for anxiety and stress. So when we're stressed, we want to do something fun. We want to talk on the phone to our friends. We want to text each other, things like that. So same with children, play reduces stress that they may be experiencing. Play is more than meets the eye is a fourth thing for parents to know. Play is both simple and complex. So simple might be building a little block tower, complex might be building a village. So play can be both simple and complex. There are many different types of play that children can engage in as well. Symbolic play, sociodramatic play, functional play, and games with rules, just to name a few. Researchers study play's many aspects. They look at how children learn through play, how outdoor play impacts children's health, the effects of screen time on play, and the need for recess in the school day. So sometimes school gets a little bit off track when the focus is on learning stuff so you can do well on a test. We really need balanced school where children can still have recess during the day, because this is something that children need to do, is have that downtime during the day. We also want to encourage parents to make time for play. As parents, you are the biggest supporters of your children's learning. You can make sure they have as much time to play as possible during the day to promote their cognitive, language, physical, social, and emotional development. Another thing that parents can do is they can have an appreciation for a good child-based, activity-based, child-centered school. I used to love when parents would really show appreciation for the approach that we were taking to helping their children learn. These parents got it. They understood that setting up a workshop in the dramatic play area was helping children develop skills. They understand that block play was very important. They understood that when children played instruments in our music area, that was an important part of their development. So parents, in addition to making time for play themselves for their children, can also have an appreciation for the time that you as a teacher are making for their child to play. Play and learning go hand in hand. They're inseparable. They are not separate activities, they are intertwined. Think about them as a science lecture with a lab. Play is the child's lab. So we really want to understand that play and learning are happening at the same time. We don't need to have a serious time sitting at a desk and doing a worksheet and think that that is where learning takes place. Rather, we want to understand that play happens in realistic, hands-on, minds-on ways throughout the day. Number 7 thing we want to help parents understand is to play outside. Remember your own outdoor experiences of building forts, playing on the beach, sledding in the winter, or playing with other children in the neighborhood. Make sure your children create their own outdoor memories too. Very important that parents get kids outside. It's kind of different now where there might be some dangers with being outside. Even if that's the case, we want to get kids outside and just have greater supervision of them while they're outside. Just as I recounted my experience of playing outside in the creek, we want to get kids outside so they can build those playful memories. Number 8 is there's a lot to learn about play. There's a lot written on children and play. Check out the National Association for the Education of Young Children. Check out their website to learn more. So in the original video, in the Google Slides, this is also a link to the NAEYC website where you can learn more about play and where parents can learn more about play. NAEYC publishes something called um, messages in a backpack. And the messages in a backpack each focus on a different topic that can help parents learn about child development so they can best parent their child. Number 9 is trust your own playful instincts. We want to encourage parents to remember as a child how play just came naturally. Give your children time for play and see that they are see what they are capable of when given that opportunity. So we want to give children time to play, watch them play, watch what they learn through the play. You let them use their own instincts when playing and watch what they can learn while they play. Number 10 in our list is here. Play is a child's context for learning. Children practice and reinforce their learning in multiple areas during play. It gives them a place and a time for learning that cannot be achieved through completing a worksheet. For example, in playing restaurant, children write and draw menus, they set prices, they take orders, and they make out checks. Play provides rich learning opportunities and leads to children's success and self-esteem. So hopefully those 10 things that we just learned about were something helpful for you to use when working with parents in your future to help them learn the importance of play. Additional resources can be found here. Again, in the original slides presentation, you can click on this and this will take you to this page where you can learn about different types of play, different examples, and learn how play is helpful for young children. Since this is an online learning that you're doing, we don't have an opportunity to do live questions and discussion. However, if you do have questions or want to discuss any of the topics, I encourage you to see me. Thank you very much.